Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so let's talk about this air horn assembly here. I know the first thing you're going to say, ugly. And you're absolutely correct. It is but ugly. Alright? I don't want it there. But it is where it's going to go. The reason being is, if you've been following my channel, you know that I've been wiring this thing for my my subwoofers, amplifiers, radios, all that kind of stuff. And I happen to have a relay right there where my finger's pointing there that was not being used. And I also had a wire coming out of the driver's compartment there that was not being used, and that is the one that I am using on the button on the dash that I bought to ground the relay, allow the power to flow, which then goes to the compressor and set the horn off. So basically what I'm saying is that, yeah, this is all ugly. It's not exactly what I wanted. But for now, because of how quick I can get it put in, I can make it work, I decided to go this route here for now. What I did was I basically drilled some holes, one hole here, one hole there, and I used the 3/8 rivet nuts. I think we can see them underneath here. Yep, there's one right there. And the other one right there. So these are rivet nuts. You basically drill your hole, you put those suckers in there, and you got this tool fixture that, you know, looks like a rivet gun, a big rivet gun. It pulls it in there. And I used 3/8 size because, as you can see, I've only got 2 hanging on to this assembly. It's not very heavy, and it does kind of vibrate a little bit. But again, this is going to last as long as I want it to, for when I actually get that frame done. And then when I swap this over there, that's not going to remain there. That is going to go, I was looking yesterday, and it looks like I can put it right underneath the driver's floor. I could do the passenger side too, whichever one I wanted to. I could even put it underneath the fender here area, but then it's going to be subjected to, you know, road debris and water and all that kind of stuff, which is the reason why I made it like this. The reason why I put this plate here is it will be the guard at some point. It could still get, you know, splashed with water and that kind of stuff if it's underneath there, but I don't really plan on driving this thing in pouring rain. Where I live, we don't get a whole ton of moisture all the time, and even if it did get a little bit wet, it's not gonna hurt it. These are plastic horns, rubber hoses. The compressor unit, really, I mean, electric motors can run underwater. It's just that, you know, right here where you plug them in, you just need to make sure that you put a bunch of grease on it to keep those connections from corroding up. And again, like I said yesterday, I was just kind of in a hurry to get this thing going, just so that it's done, it's off my bench. I no longer have it sitting there, and it's actually operational on the pickup, which again makes me legal. Okay. The other thing that I didn't like about it right here was this positive wire was going to be close to this, and you got to make sure, obviously, you don't want that rubbing through and grounding. And as you can see here, I really cranked on this and kind of bent the crap out of it. And because it is a heavier gauge wire with a stiffer wire, it actually holds its form. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. You can see there, it's going to stay away from it. It shouldn't relax and lift up and start touching this, but I'll be watching it. But again, it shouldn't do anything, you know, bad. And as long as I keep everything clear from it, it should work just fine. So, all right. Well, if you've been watching my other video, you'll know how I built all this and why I did it, etc. And then again, I have the relay right here that was ready to go. I put in a 10 amp fuse, and in the other video I did explain this kind of already. I told you that this thing I had like a 14 gauge wiring harness in there that was about, I don't know, about 16, 20 inches long. And I hooked it up to some RC batteries in series. And I told you that when I operated this thing for a good 10, times of cycle basically through the melody, that those wires got warm. This thing is a power hungry unit. It uses quite a bit of power. I put a 10 amp fuse in there to start off with, because I got I think a 20 and a 15 on these others for my stereo and my amps and all that kind of stuff. And I put a 10 amp in there, and I pushed the button, and I got that horn. I got that horn to basically toot one horn. That compressor ran enough, just because it's like got 5 horns on there that do the Dixieland thing, and it only tooted one horn before it blew that fuse. So I happen to have, just laying around here, a 30 amp fuse. I dropped it in there, and it seems to be working just fine on a 30 amp. If I can get a 20, I'll go ahead and drop a 20 in it, because these are 14 gauge wires. However, because this relay is just right here, that wire can't be more than 12 inches long. I mean, it's very short. And I did use a copper, a solid copper speaker wire, 14 gauge actually here, and I found some black 12 gauge that I ran for the ground, which comes over here to my little ground distribution block that I got right here. This here got a whole bunch of screws that I can land any kind of ground I want, and then of course here comes the big ground over here to that grounding distribution block. So I kind of don't like how messy all that is, I admit. I mean, I've been just kind of piecemealing this thing together. It works. When I go to swap it over, I'll probably do some cleaning up and make it look a lot tidier, and maybe even try to hide some of it. But anyway, this is what I'm doing for now, and it's working just fine. The main important thing is that I understand it and how it works, and easily can fix it when I need to do that, which is the other thing that I don't feel too bad about doing this, is because, again, with the rivet nuts here, just loosen this bolt, unplug that, and guess what? This comes right out, and I can get access to all this stuff over here again to fix it or maintain it or whatever it is that I need to do. So there you have that right there. And then what else you should know is that this is the button that I bought right here for it. This is a button that I found off of eBay, and it is lighted. So because this right here is just junk, I mean, there's no wiring or anything like that for this, so this is kind of a pain in the butt to make it work right now. When I do swap it over, it is going to be getting an aftermarket steering column that I got from Speedway Motors. And at that point, that's when I will probably hook it into the horn system at that point. But then again, I'm also thinking about having a removable steering wheel, which would make that a little more difficult. I kind of like the way this looks right here. This is a chrome plug that was in here when I bought the truck, so I don't know really what went there before. This is where the choke, the manual choke was. So I bought this button here, and I went over to Menards and I found a chrome washer, and I made it work to fit there, so it looks, in my opinion, looks pretty good. I've got off of the switch, I got it to where it's powered, so when I do turn on the key, you can see right there that it actually lights up the switch itself. So that's pretty good news right there. Looks good. I mean, it's got, and you can get this, by the way, in orange, amber, red, green, all different kinds of colors. I chose the blue just because I thought it would just look better with the truck here, although green probably could have went good with it as well, but I just went with blue. And actually, now that I got it powered up, here we go. There you go. It actually works. It's very loud, and it's kind of a cool deal, I guess, but some people are going to find it annoying, but I don't really care. But nonetheless, that thing can be wired to where when you push the button it actually lights up, or you can wire it to where, like where I have it, it's always on when the key is on, and even during the day, I guess. I don't know, You could probably hook it into your light switch to where it only comes on, then. But me personally, I'm okay with it actually being on at all the time. And then basically how I wired it. Now, it will tell you to wire it to have the battery go through here to activate the relay. But what I did instead is I've got the relay actually powered out there, where the hot side is hooked in when I turn the key on via the one main relay out there. I've got a main relay out there that has a diode to it. And so when I flip this switch right here on, that main relay powers those other relays because, so that they go direct to that battery bus bar basically. And then what I did here is I made this be the ground. So I've actually got it comes, the ground side of the relay over there comes over here via that one extra wire I showed you I had. And then it comes over here and it just grounds right here actually to this screw on the upside here. And so basically when I push that button, all I'm doing is I'm grounding that relay out there underneath the hood. I'm not actually needing to fuse that in any way, just because it's only providing a ground or whatever. So actually, if that wire were to actually get grounded somehow, a short or whatever, then yeah, this thing's just going to go on and off, on its own forever until you finally figure out how to get rid of that or bump it out. But I don't think that's really going to be a problem. So anyway, you have now heard it. You know what it sounds like. You see what I did with it. Again, I agree 110%. It is ugly. I do not want to leave it there. But it's going to work for now. It's going to make me legal. And what I'm going to end up doing eventually is putting it underneath the truck, or, as one last maybe thought that I had, is I might actually maybe modify my, because as you can see there, I got rust. I got rust right there. And so the radiator support's going to have to be kind of rebuilt, especially down on the bottom. And I might modify that just slightly or something, and swap all that stuff from that aluminum plate and put it over here. Or maybe if that can, but I don't think that aluminum plate could actually fit in here the way I've got it set now. But it's one of two things. I'm either going to do that, I'm going to swap everything up there somewhere to where, it works that way, or I'm going to take and mount that underneath. And I guess the third option would be is I can just put the horns all over the place and run longer hoses from the compressor wherever I decide to mount that. That would be another option, I guess. I just have to buy a bunch of long hoses. Just not sure how that would work if you start making the hoses too long. But it would be one way of doing it. So, anyway. All right, guys. Well, like, subscribe, and rumble if that's where you are. Make your comments or whatever. It's a pretty cool horn. I mean, I like this kind of stuff. Some people aren't going to like it, but if you've always wondered what a Dixieland eBay horn setup sounds like, well, you just heard it. And it is loud. And I think my kids are already rolling their eyes, and my wife as well. So, but guess what? That's why I do it, because I want to annoy everybody. At some point, someday, this sucker will have exhaust on it where I can just drop it straight pipe and piss off more people. So I'm excited for that. Anyway, thanks, Butch, and check back. We'll have a lot more for you coming up. Bye-bye.